Let me just speak briefly to this notion of the hiring of career personnel. I became United States Attorney in 1977. I was 12 at the time, actually. Actually, I was 33, and I was very fortunate to be appointed at such a young age. But there was still in the memory of man then the days when the United States Attorney was appointed in the old days. I'm talking about the really old days. The first thing he or she did, and mostly it was he in those days, was to fire all the assistants, or most of them, and replace them. That was sort of standard operating procedure. It was patronage. Assistant United States Attorneys were patronage positions. And thank goodness that changed. And over the years it evolved to the point where it was verboten to hire career people on the basis of politics and patronage. And that was critically important to the building of the Justice Department, both in the field and at Main Justice. And these recent incidences in which it appears that career people, right down to hiring honors grads, which is ridiculous, out of law school, have to pass some kind of political litmus test in order to get these career jobs, has got to be stopped for the good of the department and, more importantly, for the good of the country, it seems to me. It is critical that the Justice Department, as it always has, attract the best and the brightest to do these kinds of jobs. And we've had some great examples of this, and there's some recent examples of that in the current administration. Unfortunately, I don't think their contributions are valued as much. Jim Comey is a good example, as far as I'm concerned. A person who stood up and said no when saying no was the right thing to say. Pat Fitzgerald is another career prosecutor who somehow, in somebody's mind, got on the, well, you know, these are underperformers who ought to be fired as United States Attorney. Absurd proposition. And so I think the notion of including the career people with their institutional memory of the importance of the Justice Department in the decision-making of the department is essential. I mean, the Justice Department is an ongoing institution, and those of us who had the honor of being tourists need to recognize that we're tourists for a short time, and the career people need to, their views, their experience, their background needs to be recognized, and they need to be included. Doesn't mean on policy issues there are legitimate differences of opinion. If an administration wants to shift law enforcement priorities, we're talking about policy. But in terms of implementation and avoiding any appearance that the Justice Department is being used for partisan political purposes in any arena, environmental, criminal, civil rights, that has got to end if we have any hope at all of restoring this notion that the department is different. I mean, I've had, as some of you may have, the framed copy of Justice Sutherland's words in Berger versus United States about the United States Attorney and not being the representative of an ordinary litigant and whose job is done when justice is done. That's the kind of thing that traditionally even the visitors who get appointed understand, that they leave at the doorstep their partisan political alliances, except in the large P policy issues, which is appropriate. But when it comes to implementation, those considerations have to end, and they have to act accordingly. So that's my sermon for the day.